Have you ever fallen for someone so deeply, you thought with all your heart, maybe this is the one? You saw signs. You felt peace. At first everything seemed to make sense. Your heart was sure, but now, they're not with you. They slipped away like sand through your fingers, and you're left staring at the ceiling, asking, why would Allah put them in my heart, if they were never meant to stay? You prayed, with tears in your eyes. You raised your hands at night when no one else was watching. You begged Allah to take away the feelings, to give you peace, to help you forget. But the feelings stayed, not in front of you, but inside you, like a quiet ache, like a memory carved into your soul. You didn't choose to feel this deeply. You didn't want to hurt, so it's easy to think something went wrong, that this was a mistake, a wasted emotion, a missed destiny. But what if it wasn't a mistake? What if Allah, in His perfect wisdom, placed this person in your heart, not for marriage, but for meaning? Because not every love is meant to lead to a wedding. Some love is meant to wake you up. Some love is sent to teach you, to change you, to return you to Allah. The purpose of unexpected love. There are moments in life when a person enters your world, and they seem like everything you were waiting for, but their real purpose was never to stay. It was to reflect something deep. Maybe they were sent to help you understand your worth. Maybe they came to open a wound so it could finally heal. Maybe they were there to show you what your heart was clinging to, instead of clinging to your Creator. Sometimes we fall in love, not with a person, but with a feeling, the feeling of being seen, of being wanted, of feeling alive. But when that feeling fades and the person is gone, Allah is still there, watching, guiding, loving. He doesn't leave you empty. He fills the space that was once overflowing with attachment, with something stronger, faith, sabra, growth, strength. 2. The turning point. Maybe that person, the one who lingers in your chest, was never meant to be your partner, but your turning point. They weren't the end of your story, they were the moment your story changed. When your heart broke open wide enough for Allah to enter deeper than ever before. If you're hurting, if your heart feels heavy, if you keep asking why, take a breath. Allah didn't place them in your heart without wisdom. He doesn't make mistakes, and He never tests without purpose. Maybe they weren't meant for your hand, but they were meant for your heart. Not to stay, but to stir something, to move something, to lead you somewhere better. You're not broken, you're not forgotten. You are being reshaped, redefined, and returned to the one who loves you most. 3. The awakening. Don't rush the healing. Don't curse the connection. Don't regret the love, because sometimes the people we lose are the reason we finally find Allah. Before they came, everything felt flat. You woke up, did what you had to do, and went to sleep. Day after day, it was the same. You weren't exactly sad, but you weren't happy either. You were just existing, breathing, but not really living. Then they appeared. Maybe it was unexpected, a small moment, a short conversation, a connection that grew without warning. Suddenly, your heart felt something again. Butterflies, curiosity, that feeling you hadn't felt in so long, the warmth of being alive. It wasn't just about romance. It was about remembrance of what it means to feel joy, to feel excitement, to feel awake. They didn't complete you, but they stirred something that had fallen asleep. They reminded you that you're human, that you still can love, that your heart isn't numb, it's just been waiting for the right moment to feel again. 4. The temporary spark. But here's the truth. That spark wasn't always meant to last forever. It wasn't a promise of marriage. It was a message from Allah, a whisper to your soul, saying, you still have a heart, and I'm not done with it yet. Even if that person didn't stay, the part of you they awakened, that is what was meant to stay. 5. The mirror of healing. They revealed the parts of you that needed healing. At first, It felt beautiful, like maybe they were the missing piece. They made you feel seen, special, chosen. But then slowly things began to shift. You noticed parts of yourself rising to the surface, insecurity you thought you had outgrown, jealousy that made your heart restless, an ego that didn't want to be ignored, fear of not being enough, fear of being replaced. It wasn't just love, it was a reflection, a mirror, held up to your soul. And what you saw wasn't always pretty, not because you were broken, but because there were wounds you had hidden, buried deep beneath your strength. Wounds that needed light in order to heal. This person didn't complete you, they didn't come to fix you, they came to reveal you, to show you what still needed work, to help you confront what you've been avoiding. And that might hurt, but that's how growth begins. Allah didn't give you a lifelong partner in that moment. He gave you something more important, a lesson, a chance to see yourself clearly, a chance to heal what you couldn't heal alone, a chance to become the version of you that's ready for what's truly meant for your heart. 6. When love becomes a distraction, be honest with yourself. Did they slowly become the center of your world? Did your thoughts revolve around them morning and night, even during the quiet moments meant for Allah? Did their messages make your heart race more than the sound of the adhan? Did their presence feel more comforting than the stillness of sujud? It's easy to slip, easy to give someone a place in your heart that was never meant for them, not because you're weak, but because love can be blinding when it's wrapped in hope and dreams. But Allah sees what we sometimes forget. He knows when someone is pulling us away from the one who deserves our whole heart. So what does He do? He doesn't always remove them instantly. Sometimes He lets the attachment grow just enough for it to break you, not to punish you but to wake you up. Because Allah loves you more than anyone ever could, and He will not let your heart remain lost. So He allows the ache, the disappointment, the space between you and them, so He can reclaim the space between you and Him. That pain you feel, it's not the end of love, it's the beginning of returning. 7. When love distances you from faith. Real love, the kind that is healthy, sincere, and blessed, should never take you away from Allah. It should never make you feel like you have to choose between your faith and your feelings. It should never pull you into a place where your heart feels full but your soul feels empty. True love is supposed to ground you, elevate you, and remind you of your values. It's supposed to help you grow into a better version of yourself, not a stranger you barely recognize. But the truth is, not everything that feels like love is love. Sometimes what we call love is just attachment. Sometimes it's loneliness, excitement, comfort, or even distraction, dressed in a beautiful package. 8. The gradual drift. It feels intense, emotional and consuming, and when it first arrives, it feels like a blessing, something you've waited for, prayed for, hoped for. It even feels like a sign from Allah. But slowly, so slowly you don't even notice, it begins to shift something inside you. You laugh more. You smile when your phone lights up. You think about them often, maybe even more than you think about your own peace. And because it feels good in the beginning, you don't question it. You welcome it. You open the door to your heart wider. But then your focus starts to shift. You used to have such a strong connection with Allah. You used to guard your prayers. You used to rush to Salah when the adhan called. You used to feel peace on your prayer mat in the quiet moments before dawn. But now your mind is elsewhere. Your heart isn't as light. Your worship feels rushed. Your hands rise in dua, but your mind is still on them, not on your Lord. You used to have boundaries, strong ones. You used to protect your heart, your dignity, your modesty, your time, your soul. But now you're slowly crossing the lines you once promised yourself you never would. Conversations that stretch past what's halal, thoughts that make you feel distant from Allah, meetings, messages, emotions that once felt forbidden, but now feel familiar. Every time you go a little further, a little deeper, your heart tries to whisper, "This doesn't feel right." But you silence that voice. You say, "It's love. This is different. Allah knows what's in my heart." And yes, He does. But He also knows when something is pulling you further from Him. 9. The mercy in separation. He sees when the connection you thought was a gift is actually leading you away from the giver. You begin to feel heavy, not because of what's happening on the outside, but because of what's shifting on the inside. Guilt creeps in, not just for what you're doing, but for how distant you feel from Allah. You remember what it felt like to be spiritually strong, to have clarity, to feel close to your Lord, and now you feel lost, confused, constantly anxious. You start to ask yourself, if this is real love, why does it feel like I'm drifting away from the best parts of myself? Why do I feel further from peace instead of closer to it? Because love isn't supposed to cost you your faith. It's not supposed to create a wall between you and Allah, and when it does, it's no longer love, it's a test that feels sweet on the surface, but slowly poisons you within. A test that makes you crave their approval more than Allah's pleasure. A test that blinds you with emotions so you don't see the direction you're headed. And in His mercy, Allah steps in. He doesn't always send a loud warning. Sometimes He lets the connection start to fall apart. You face tension, miscommunication, silence. Doors that once felt wide open begin to close. You try harder, you cling, you cry, but nothing works. And you wonder, why is Allah taking this from me? But maybe He's not taking anything from you. Maybe He's freeing you. 10. The blessing in loss. Allah knows when something is becoming a barrier, and He loves you too much to let you stay chained to something that's pulling you away from Him. So He removes it through pain, through loss, through unanswered prayers. Not to punish you, not to break you, but to rescue you from going further down a path that was never written for your soul. That heartbreak you felt, it wasn't cruelty, it was protection. That ending you didn't expect, it was an answer to a dua you forgot you made. The one where you asked Allah to keep you close to Him, the one where you begged for peace, even if it meant sacrifice. Sometimes the most dangerous people are not the ones who hurt us intentionally, they're the ones who slowly distract us, the ones we grow attached to at the cost of our faith. And sometimes the biggest blessings in life come wrapped in loss, in a goodbye that didn't make sense at the time. But later, when your heart finally begins to heal, you start to see clearly. You return to the person you used to be. Or better, you return to a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, more connected to Allah than you ever were before. And that return, that reconnection, that rediscovery of peace is worth more than anything you thought you lost. 11. People for a season, not a lifetime. Some people walk into your life without warning. There's no sign, no big moment, just a conversation, a glance, a kind word, something simple, and yet somehow their presence reaches parts of you that even you forgot existed. It's not loud, it's not planned, but it's real. And suddenly, your heart feels awake. You smile more. You feel like you've known them longer than you actually have. And for the first time in a long time, you feel understood. You feel connected. It feels like Allah sent them exactly when you needed someone. And maybe He did. That's why it's so easy to believe that someone who made your soul come alive must be permanent. How could something so strong, so real, so deeply felt, not be written into your forever? But not everything meaningful is meant to last forever. Not everyone who touches your heart is meant to stay in it. Some people are written into your story for a season, not a lifetime. And the beauty of it is, that season is exactly what you needed, not more, not less. They came to show you something, to remind you of something, to help you unlock a part of yourself you couldn't reach alone. Maybe they came to soften your heart after it was hardened by pain. Maybe they came to push you to confront emotions you buried. Maybe they were the bridge between the old you and the one you were meant to become. 12. The wisdom in goodbyes. Sometimes Allah sends someone into your life, not to stay, but to wake you up, to give you a glimpse of something higher, deeper, more meaningful. Even if that glimpse only lasts a short time, and when they leave, it hurts. It feels like something was taken too soon, like the chapter ended before it reached the conclusion you had imagined. You sit in that pain trying to figure out what went wrong. You question yourself. You question the timing. You question Allah's wisdom, even if you're too afraid to admit it. You think if they mattered so much, why weren't they meant to stay? But the truth is, some of the most life-changing moments don't last a lifetime. Some of the most important people are only meant to be passing guides, not permanent fixtures. They were never your destination. They were a signpost. They were never your home. They were the door that led you to your next stage. And their role wasn't to walk beside you forever, but to set something in motion inside you, a shift, a realization, a transformation. And this isn't a punishment, it's not a curse, it's mercy. Even the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, felt the weight of separation. He loved and he lost. He cried. He grieved. He said goodbye to people who were dear to his heart. He wasn't spared from heartbreak, not because Allah didn't love him, but because pain has purpose, because loss has wisdom, because goodbyes sometimes carry more meaning than hello. And if he, the most beloved of all creation, was allowed to feel such loss and still move forward with faith and strength, then your heartbreak doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean something went wrong. It simply means your heart was used as a space for growth. 13. The heart's journey. You are not broken because they left. You are not less worthy because it didn't last. You are not forgotten because your story didn't end with them. You are exactly where you are meant to be. This person, this connection, was part of your divine story, and that story is still unfolding. They were one chapter in a much bigger book, a chapter that was necessary to write the next one. Maybe, when you look back years from now, you'll realize they weren't the ending, they were the middle, the turning point, the moment you started to become the person you were always meant to be. They were sent to teach you, to challenge you, to love you just long enough to remind you what love is, and maybe, more importantly, what it is not. And when their chapter closed, it didn't mean the story was over. It simply meant Allah, the author of all things, was preparing the next part of your journey with even more care, more clarity, and more purpose. Because the story belongs to Him, and He never writes anything without wisdom. 14. The return to Allah. Think back to the nights when you were most alone, not physically, but emotionally, the ones where your body felt heavy, your thoughts wouldn't stop, and your chest ached in ways you couldn't explain. The kind of nights where the world outside was silent, but inside, you were breaking. You stared at your phone, hoping for a message that never came. You scrolled through memories, trying to make sense of what happened. You asked yourself over and over again, why does it hurt this much? Why did they come into my life, if they were never meant to stay? And when no one else could see your pain, Allah did. He saw the tears you hid. He heard the cries you whispered into your pillow. He knew what your heart couldn't say out loud. And in those moments, you turned to Him, not because someone told you to, not because it was expected, but because there was nowhere else left to turn. It wasn't the type of dua you had made before. It wasn't about success or wealth or anything worldly. It was raw. It was real. It was you saying, Ya Allah, I can't carry this anymore. Please help me. Those moments, those broken, breathless prayers, were some of the purest connections you ever had with your Creator. Not because you were strong, but because you were completely vulnerable. You didn't come to him with a checklist of requests. You came with a heart in pieces, asking for one thing: peace. Isn't it amazing that the love you thought was sent to complete you actually led you to the one who already had you? You may not have realized it at the time, but that heartbreak became a turning point. That pain became your pushback to Allah. The very person who broke you was the reason you finally surrendered. You looked in the mirror and said, "I can't fix this alone," and in that moment you realized you were never meant to. 15. The real love story. They didn't lead you to a wedding. They didn't hold your hand through life, but they led you to your knees. They led you to see you did. They led you to a version of yourself that prayed with depth, that called out with sincerity, that felt faith, not just as a practice, but as a lifeline. And sometimes, that kind of transformation is far more valuable than a relationship. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to shake you awake, to stir what's been asleep, to show you just how far your heart had wandered from its true home. They come into your life like a beautiful storm, leaving behind broken branches, but also clean air, fresh ground, a new space for healing. Their absence hurts, but somehow your soul feels closer to Allah than it ever did when they were near. Because sometimes we don't truly return to Him until there's nothing left to hold on to but Him. And that return, it's the real love story. The kind of love that doesn't come with a ring, but with redemption. Not a promise from another person, but a reminder from your Creator. So no matter how much it hurt, if their leaving led you to Allah, then their presence was never a mistake. It was part of your divine path, a necessary detour that brought you home. 16. The peace of letting go. Letting go is not something the heart is ever truly ready for. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. It doesn't matter how much they changed, or how badly things ended, because the heart doesn't let go based on logic. It holds on based on memory. You hold on because of the way they made you feel in the beginning, not at the end. You hold on to that first smile, that spark that lit something inside you after so long, the way they made you laugh, the way you felt understood, the way you started to imagine a future. You didn't just fall for them, you fell for the version of life that seemed possible when they were in it. And that's why letting go feels like pulling yourself out of a dream, one that you didn't want to wake up from, even when the reality no longer matched the fantasy. Even when the communication faded, when the texts slowed down, when your value started to feel like it depended on their attention, you still stayed, not because it felt right anymore, but because your heart was hoping it could go back to when it did. You clung to the beginning, even while the middle was unraveling and the end was quietly arriving. Letting go wasn't just losing a person. It was losing the version of you who believed this would last. It was watching a piece of your hope fade, a part of your identity that started to form around them, suddenly had no place to stand. And it's painful. It feels like your chest is holding something it can't release, like every breath is heavier than the one before. 17. The quiet arrival of healing. But here's the thing no one talks about enough. Healing doesn't always arrive with a loud breakthrough. Sometimes it tiptoes in quietly, gently, and you don't even realize it at first. One day, you wake up and you don't feel that tightness in your chest. You're not waiting for a message. You're not checking their page. You're not wondering what they're doing. You just exist. Your heart still remembers, but it no longer aches. The story still matters, but it no longer defines you. You begin to walk differently, not because you're trying to show you're fine, but because you actually are. And then something happens. You raise your hands in Dawah, and for the first time, you don't ask for them to return. You don't ask for the story to change. You ask for peace, for growth, for whatever Allah knows is better for you, and you mean it. That moment when your heart wants Allah more than it wants a person, That's not just healing, that's transformation. It's not that you don't care anymore, it's that you care more about trusting Allah than chasing something He has taken away. And the peace that starts to bloom inside you, that quiet, steady calm, that's not the result of getting over it. It's not just time doing its work. It's Allah showing you the wisdom behind the pain. It's Him saying, "You trusted me with your tears. Now trust me with your future." 18. The gift of a new beginning. You didn't lose. You were led away from something so Allah could bring you closer to Him, because what you let go of was never greater than what Allah is preparing you for. And that something better isn't always another person. Sometimes it's a version of you that's finally at peace alone, a version of you that no longer depends on someone else to feel worthy, a version of you that doesn't chase love because you've become it. Not the romantic kind, but the divine kind. The kind of love that starts with loving Allah and ends with feeling whole, even when no one else is standing beside you. Letting go didn't destroy you, it refined you. It stripped away the illusions and showed you how strong your heart actually is, how much deeper your faith could be, how much lighter your soul could feel once you stopped forcing what was never meant to stay. So when you finally released it, not in bitterness, but in trust, that wasn't the end. That was the beginning of becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone softer, someone who carries pain with grace and peace, with purpose. And the peace you feel now, that isn't emptiness, it's completion. Not because you got what you wanted, but because you finally found what you needed. You found Allah, you found yourself, and you found a kind of love that never fades, never leaves, never breaks. 19. The final reflection. If you're still sitting there, quiet but overwhelmed, still holding your breath between maybe and what if, still caught in the ache of unanswered questions, why did Allah put this person in my heart if they were never meant to stay? Maybe now, slowly, quietly through your pain and reflection, you're starting to see the truth you couldn't see before. Maybe it was never about a relationship. Maybe it was never meant to become a marriage. Maybe it was never about rings, or shared plans, or growing old together. Maybe it was about you, your journey, your growth, your return. Maybe they weren't the partner you were supposed to walk through life with, but the wake-up call that stopped you in your tracks and forced you to look inside. They didn't come to complete you. They came to reveal you, to show you what your heart was made of, to test what your soul was holding on to uncover wounds you had buried and dreams you had paused. They came to awaken what was asleep, not just your desire for love, but your connection to your Creator, your dependence on the only one who never walks away, the only one who never leaves a heart unanswered. They stirred your emotions, yes, but they also stirred your need for Allah. They brought up your insecurities, your fears, your longing, not to break you, but to show you what still needed healing. Maybe their love wasn't meant to stay because their role wasn't to build a future with you. It was to push you back to the one who holds your future. Some people are not meant to be the destination. They are the spark, the disruption, the divine interruption, the moment everything shifted so your soul could rise from its sleep. And maybe that's the most important kind of love, the kind that doesn't stay long, but stays forever in the mark it leaves, because it didn't end in a wedding, it ended in awakening. They made you realize that the kind of peace you were chasing can't be found in human hands, that the kind of safety you longed for was never in someone's attention, but in Allah's protection. They didn't steal your love, they helped you realize where it truly belongs. They didn't take your peace, they exposed how unstable it was without Allah at the center. They didn't ruin your life, they revealed what was missing from it all along. So if you're still hurting, still asking, still wondering if your love was wasted, It wasn't, because nothing that brings you closer to Allah is ever wasted. Nothing that makes you fall into sujud crying, that makes your du'as deeper, that brings your hands back up in surrender is meaningless. That ache you feel in your chest, that's not emptiness, that's depth. That's proof that you loved, that you felt, that your heart is capable of something real. But now it's time to feel something greater, not another person, but Allah. The peace you're searching for is not on someone else's tongue, it's in His remembrance. It's in the stillness of prayer. It's in the safety of knowing that what's meant for you will never need to be chased, and what's not meant for you can never bring you lasting peace. 20. Closing dua and reminder. If this message met you in a moment of silence, if it reached the place in you that still aches, let it be a reminder. You're not alone. Your heartbreak is not meaningless. Your return to Allah is your reward. And if your heart is still holding on, still hoping, still questioning, still healing, let it hold on to this instead. Healing begins with understanding. Peace begins with surrender, and love, true, lasting, eternal love, begins and ends with Allah. May He soften your heart, not just to release what wasn't yours, but to receive what always was. His mercy, His love, His plan. May He fill your heart with light that no heartbreak can dim, with clarity that outshines confusion, with a purpose that makes the pain make sense. And may He gift you a kind of love that doesn't confuse you, doesn't exhaust you, doesn't lead you away from Him, but brings you back. A love that doesn't fade, doesn't leave, doesn't break, is never lost, and is always enough. Have you ever felt like the world is against you, that hidden envy and silent battles are blocking your path? What if I told you that no force on earth can stop what Allah has destined for you? Stay with us as we uncover the unshakable truths that will revive your soul and strengthen your faith, right here on Soul Revival with Islam. In a world full of jealousy, hidden envy, and silent battles, remember this: they can't stop what Allah has destined for you. While they watch you rise, while they whisper behind your back, while they secretly pray for your downfall, Allah is lifting you higher, guiding you through every storm, and protecting you with a power they can't even understand. This isn't just about success or achievement, it's about divine destiny. It's about the unstoppable force of a believer who walks with Allah's protection. In this powerful video, we reveal 7 unshakable lessons to remind you why their fear of your growth is proof that you're walking the path Allah has set, and why nothing, no matter how hard they try, can block what's meant for you. Get ready to strengthen your heart, sharpen your faith, and walk confidently into the life Allah has already written for you. What Allah has written, no one can erase. Before you even came into this world, before you took your first breath, Allah had already written the complete story of your life. He wrote down your blessings, your struggles, your victories, your losses, and even the exact moments you would experience joy or pain. Everything was recorded, nothing left out, nothing missed. This means no matter how hard people try to block you, no matter how much they scheme, gossip, or plan against you, they have no power to erase what Allah has already decided. They cannot take away the rizq, provision, that has been written for you. They cannot delay the success that has been destined for you. They cannot bring harm that was never meant for you. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, reminded us in a beautiful hadith that not even a single leaf falls from a tree without the permission of Allah. Imagine that. Something as small and simple as a leaf drifting to the ground happens only by His will. So what about your life, your destiny, your future? It is all under His control. So why waste your energy fearing people? Why let the whispers of the jealous or the threats of your enemies shake your heart? Why believe that anyone else holds power over your success or your failure? The truth is this: only Allah holds the pen. Only He writes the story. And when He writes victory for you, no one can erase it. When He writes blessings for you, no one can block it. When He writes trials for you, no one can avoid them for you. This is why a believer's heart is calm. Even when surrounded by challenges, we know that what is written for us will reach us, not a second early, not a second late, and that what is meant to miss us will never touch us, no matter how close it comes. So walk forward with confidence. Trust in your Lord and remember, no human has the power to change the story that Allah Himself has written for you. 2. Their jealousy is a sign of your rise. Let's be real, people don't get jealous of those going nowhere. No one feels threatened by someone stuck in the same place, living the same old life, making no progress. But the moment you start to grow, the moment you begin improving yourself, seeking Allah's pleasure, chasing your goals, and rising above old limits, that's when the jealousy starts showing up. Why? Because your growth reminds people of what they are not doing. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your success reminds them of the chances they wasted. Your light makes them uncomfortable in their own darkness. But here's what you must understand. Their jealousy cannot stop you. Their bitter words, their rolled eyes, their gossip behind your back, it all has no real power unless you let it distract you. Allah is the one lifting you. Allah is the one guiding you forward, and no amount of hatred or jealousy from others can touch the blessings He has prepared for you. In fact, in Islam, we are taught that jealousy is dangerous, not because it has magic-like power, but because if you start to fear it too much, you weaken your own faith. The more you focus on their jealousy, the more you take your eyes off Allah. But if you stay focused on your journey, if you stay humble and grateful, their jealousy becomes just background noise, something you don't even need to respond to. Remember, the jealous are only confirming that you're moving in the right direction. They only hate because they see you shining, and their negative energy is no match for the protection of Allah, who shields you from every hidden and open attack. So don't let jealousy make you shrink or hide. Instead, let it remind you that you are rising, and that your rise is not in your hands or theirs, but entirely in Allah theirs. 3. Growth is a divine test, not just a gift. Many people think that when Allah blesses them with success, money, knowledge, respect, or opportunities, it's only a reward. But in Islam we are taught something deeper. Every blessing is also a test. Think about it. When you start growing in life, it's easy to become proud. It's easy to think, look at what I've achieved. Look at how far I've come. But the real question is, will you stay humble? Will you remember that your success comes from Allah, not your own hands? Will you use your blessings to help others? Or will you become arrogant and selfish? Allah tells us in the Qur'an that wealth, children, health and status are all part of the tests of life. They can either lift you closer to Allah if you stay grateful and generous, or they can become chains that drag you away from Him if you let pride and attachment take over. When you grow, you must check your heart constantly. Are you growing only outwardly or also inwardly? Are you improving your character, your patience, your gratitude, or are you just chasing numbers, fame, or status? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the most successful human being in history, yet he remained the most humble. Even when people offered him wealth and power, he chose simplicity, service, and gratitude. Why? Because he understood that growth is a divine test, not just a worldly gift. So when Allah allows you to rise, remember this is your chance to prove your character. This is your opportunity to show Allah that you are not just thankful, but responsible. Your blessings are a test. Pass it well. 4. No one can block the doors Allah opens. There will be times in your life when people try to block your path. They might try to stop your success, shut you out of opportunities, spread lies about you, or even convince others to turn against you. They will whisper, plot, and scheme, hoping you fail or never rise beyond them. But here's a truth you must anchor deep in your heart. When Allah opens a door for you, no one, absolutely no one, can close it. And when Allah closes a door, no matter how hard you or anyone else tries, you will not be able to force it open. This is beautifully captured in the Qur'an, Surah Fatiha 35:2. Whatever Allah grants to people of mercy, none can withhold it, and whatever He withholds, none can grant it after Him. This means all provision, all success, all opportunity flows from Him, not from people, not from companies, not from influences, not from governments. He alone controls the keys to every door. So when people reject you, don't break down. When you're passed over, don't fall into despair. And when someone tries to take credit for your success or block your progress, remember who is truly in control. The story of Prophet Joseph, peace be upon him, is a perfect example. His own brothers tried to destroy his life. They threw him into a well, sold him into slavery, and plotted against him repeatedly. But in the end, Allah raised Yusuf to a position of power and honor in Egypt, far beyond anything his brothers could imagine. Why? Because no matter how many doors they tried to shut, Allah had already destined an open door for him. This is why you must put your trust not in people, but in Allah. When you strive sincerely, when you work hard with faith, Allah can open doors in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes He opens them through people you never met. Sometimes He opens them through situations that looked like failures. Sometimes He opens them after long periods of waiting, testing your patience. And when He opens a door, no jealous person, no enemy, no competitor can shut it. Your risker provision is written. Your opportunities are written. Your rise is written. Trust that. Walk forward in faith. 5. Silence is your secret weapon. In a world where everyone wants to show off, posting every achievement, bragging about every success, announcing every plan, silence becomes a rare and powerful weapon. As a believer, you don't need to reveal everything you're working on. You don't need to announce every goal, every dream, or every step you're taking. Why? Because sometimes the less people know, the safer and stronger you are. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us the wisdom of keeping certain matters private. He said, "Seek help for the fulfillment of your needs by being discreet, for everyone who is blessed is envied." Reported by Al-Tabarani, this means when Allah gives you a blessing, when He opens a path for you, you should protect it by not exposing it to unnecessary attention. The more you talk, the more you invite opinions, judgments, envy, and sometimes even harm. Silence doesn't mean weakness. In fact, silence is a shield. It protects your peace. It gives you space to work quietly without pressure. It confuses your enemies because they can't figure out what you're doing. It terrifies those who wish you harm because they can't attack what they can't see. Look at nature. The sun doesn't announce every morning, "I'm rising now." It simply rises. The trees don't shout, "We're growing." They simply grow quietly, steadily. Your growth should be the same. Let your results speak. Let your actions speak. Let your success appear when it's already too strong to be blocked. Also remember, Allah knows what's in your heart. You don't need to prove yourself to people. The more you protect your intentions, the more sincere your actions become. And sincerity brings the most beautiful kind of barakah, blessing, the kind that is multiplied, protected, and unstoppable. So the next time you feel the urge to tell everyone your dreams or announce your every step, pause, hold back, let the world wonder, let them see your results, not your announcements. Silence is not emptiness, it's power under Allah's protection. 6. Patience. Sabr leads to unstoppable growth. If you want to grow into the person Allah created you to be, you must understand one truth deeply. There is no real growth without sabr, patience. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about how you wait. It's about staying calm, trusting Allah, and continuing to put in effort even when nothing seems to be happening. In Islam, patience is described as one of the greatest strengths a believer can have. Allah mentions sabr repeatedly in the Qur'an, promising His love, His help, and His reward to those who are patient. In Surah Al-Baqarah 253, He says, "O you who have believed, seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, Allah is with the patient." What does this mean for your growth? It means that success, healing, progress, they don't happen overnight. You will face delays. You will experience setbacks. You will wonder if your prayers are being heard, if your work is paying off, if your dreams will ever come true. And in those moments, patience becomes your weapon. Patience is what keeps you grounded when your emotions want to take over. It's what stops you from giving up when your heart feels tired. It's what keeps you walking forward, step by small step, when the road ahead looks too long or too uncertain. Let's break this down in practical ways. Patience with people. When others mock you, belittle you, or try to make you feel small, patience gives you the strength to stay silent, to rise above, to let Allah handle them instead of lowering yourself into arguments or revenge. Patience with yourself. Growth is uncomfortable. You will stumble. You will make mistakes. But sabr allows you to forgive yourself, learn and keep trying, without falling into despair. Patience with Allah's timing. This might be the hardest. We live in a world that wants everything instantly: success, love, money, status. But Allah's plan unfolds in the best time, not your time. Sabr teaches you to trust that every delay, every detour, every wait is perfectly placed for your ultimate good. Think about the story of Moses, peace be upon him. When he was trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea, his people panicked. They said, "We're doomed." But Musa calmly said, "No, indeed, my Lord is with me, and He will guide me." And Allah opened the sea, making a way where no way existed. That's the power of sabr, not just waiting, but waiting with faith. Now here's another important point. Patience does not mean doing nothing. It's not sitting back lazily, hoping everything falls into place. Real patience means you keep working, you keep making dua's supplication, you keep showing up, doing your part even on the days when it feels like you're being ignored or forgotten. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't dig them up every day to see if they're growing. He waters them, he tends the soil, he trusts the process, knowing that one day those hidden seeds will break through the ground and blossom. Your efforts in life are the same. You plant the seeds with your intentions, your prayers, your actions, then you trust Allah to bring the right results in the right season. Patience builds unstoppable people. Why? Because patient people outlast the storms, while others burn out, give up, or crumble under pressure. The patient ones keep going. They become strong, not just in their outer achievements, but in their hearts, their faith, their character. Allah promises in the Qur'an, Surah Az-Zumar 39:10, "Indeed, the patient will be given their reward without measure." Without measure, that means unlimited reward, because patience is not just for this life, it is a spiritual force that shapes your eternity. So when you feel tired, when you wonder why you're still waiting, when you see others racing ahead while you seem stuck, remind yourself sabr is working. Every moment of patience is an investment. Every moment of patience is building a foundation inside you that no one can shake. Every moment of patience is bringing you closer to the unstoppable growth Allah has written for you. Keep watering your seeds, keep walking your path, keep trusting your Lord, because with sabr, you are already winning. 7. Allah is your protector, always. At the heart of every believer's strength is one unshakable truth: Allah is your protector. Not just when life feels easy, not just when you're successful, but always in the hard times, the dark times, the confusing times, and the moments when you feel most alone. In this world you will face enemies you see, people who speak against you, plot behind your back, or wish for your failure. But you will also face enemies you can't see: jealousy, hatred, evil intentions, and even the whispers of Satan, who tries to shake your faith and destroy your peace. And here's the truth: you cannot fight these battles on your own. You don't even know how many dangers Allah has already shielded you from without your knowledge. The Quran reminds us over and over, and sufficient is Allah as a protector. Surah Al-Ahzab 3:3. Allah is the best of protectors, and He is the most merciful of the merciful. Surah Yusuf. What does this mean for your life? It means that when you feel surrounded, when people are talking about you, when you hear rumors, when you sense jealousy and evil eye, you do not need to fall into fear. You do not need to waste your energy trying to explain yourself to everyone, fighting every critic, or answering every attack, because Allah sees, Allah knows, Allah protects. Sometimes His protection comes through strengthening your heart, making you emotionally resilient, unbothered, and peaceful, even when people try to disturb you. Sometimes His protection comes through blocking people's harm entirely, turning their plans back on themselves without you needing to lift a finger. Sometimes His protection comes through delaying or redirecting you, keeping you away from opportunities or people that look good but are secretly dangerous for your soul. Here's the amazing part: even when you don't realize it, Allah is defending you. Even when you're asleep, He is guarding you. Even when you make mistakes, when you're weak, when you slip, His mercy continues to cover you. But there's a condition: you have to place your trust in Him. You can't claim Allah as your protector, but act as if everything depends on your own hands. You can't claim Allah as your protector, but leave off dua, supplication, prayer, or remembrance. When you turn to Him sincerely, when you rely on Him completely, you unlock a level of spiritual defense that no human power can match. Think about Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him. His own people threw him into a raging fire. Onlookers believed there was no way he could survive. But what happened? Allah commanded the fire, "Be cool and safe," for Ibrahim. Surah Al-Anbiya. Because when Allah protects, even the laws of nature submit to His command. Fire becomes cool, enemies fail, and the believer rises unharmed. Now you might wonder, why do I still face hardship if Allah is protecting me? Here's the secret: protection doesn't mean you'll never face trials. It means those trials will never destroy your soul. It means the hardship will only purify you, strengthen you, and elevate you, not break you. It means even when you stumble, Allah will catch you and guide you back. So when you hear the whispers of doubt, when people try to scare you, when you feel surrounded by negativity, pause, take a deep breath, raise your hands in dua, and say from your heart, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for me. There is no God but Him. And let His peace cover you. Let His protection surround you. Let His strength carry you through. You are not walking this path alone. They can't stop you. They can't break you. They can't undo what Allah has destined. Because when Allah is your protector, you are already unstoppable. Remember this deeply: they cannot stop what Allah has destined for you. No matter how much they gossip, no matter how much they envy, no matter how hard they try to block you, they are powerless before the will of your Lord. What is written for you will reach you. What is not written for you will pass you by. Their opinions, their plotting, their fear of your growth, none of it can change the plan. Allah has set for your life. But you have a responsibility. You must protect your blessings with silence. You must guard your heart with patience. You must walk forward with unshakable faith. Allah is not just watching your outer success. He is watching your heart. He is testing your gratitude, your humility, your sincerity. So when you rise, rise with grace. When you are blessed, stay grateful. When you are tested, stay patient. Because the more you trust Allah, the more unstoppable you become. Not because of your strength, but because of His strength. Not because you are free from enemies, but because you are protected by His mercy. So stand firm, keep growing, keep moving forward, knowing that what Allah has destined for you is already yours, and no one, no matter how terrified they are of your rise, can take it away. If these words have touched your heart and revived your soul, don't keep this message to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder of Allah's unstoppable plan. Subscribe to Soul Revival with Islam for more inspiring content that strengthens your faith and brings you closer to your Creator. Remember, your destiny is safe. With Allah, walk confidently into the future He has written for you.